What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, shout out to LB because I see he already did a video reporting this, and that is the sad news that the NBA family has lost yet another member. Mark Eaton, who played for the Utah Jazz from 1982 to 1993, has died at the age of 64. Uh, Apparently, Mark Eaton had gone for a bicycle ride yesterday evening and had not returned during the time period that he was expected to return. And passerbys found him lying in the road, and no foul play was apparently involved. He wasn't hit by a vehicle, from what they could tell. The cause of death is not yet known or has been established, but if I were to guess, he probably died of heart failure, heart attack, um, something of that nature. 64 years old. He had attended the Utah Jazz playoff game just this past Wednesday night against the Memphis Grizzlies and was in otherwise great health. Um, if it was a heart attack, it sort of reminds me of the situation with Dave DeBusschere. Dave DeBusschere, who passed away, I believe, was back in May of 2003, ironically, May of 2003. Longtime New York Knicks Hall of Famer. He had gotten a clean bill of health, was in apparently, great health when he was 62 years old, I believe, at the time, and he dropped dead of a heart attack walking down the street. Sometimes, if it was a heart attack, and I'm just speculating, I could be 100% wrong, maybe with something else. Uh, but sometimes it can happen to a person who apparently is in great or appears to be in great health. You know, um, you know, person could have blockages and not be aware of it, and plaque could rupture from one of these narrow areas with plaque. It could rupture, cause a blockage, and that person could have a major heart attack. But look, that remains to be seen. I'm just speculating. Mark Eaton, there's always been a debate about whether or not he's a Hall of Famer. He was not a great scorer. Uh, he was not a heavily touted player when he first came into the NBA. His career actually is sort of miraculous, or was sort of miraculous. This is a guy that was an auto mechanic living in Arizona when a community college basketball coach noticed him back in 1977 when he was about 19 or 20 years old. So, had it not been for that chance encounter, Mark Eaton may have never played in the NBA. May have just been the tallest auto mechanic you've ever seen. He was convinced to enroll at Cypress College. Then he transferred to UCLA and played under John Wooden. Now, even in UCLA, he never stood out. He wasn't a great scorer, like I said, but he had another encounter, I think, when he was in UCLA with the great Wilton Norman Chamberlain. And it was under this encounter that he focused on what would be truly his niche. Now, Wilt Chamberlain worked with him, and this is when he said in one of his speeches, because Mark Eaton went on to become a motivational speaker. I saw one of these lectures, one of these speeches on YouTube a couple of years ago. And he talked about how Wilt Chamberlain, at the time, Wilt was maybe in his mid to late, I would say mid to late 40s, mid 40s. And he said that Wilt was uh, backing him up in the paint. And Mark Eaton was 7'4" and 275 pounds. And he said that when Wilt was backing him down, he literally was pushing him backward. You know what I'm saying? Like lift him off his feet. He had never had a guy that was able to do that to him before or since. But Wilt said that with your physical traits, you should focus on defense and shot blocking. Scoring may not be your forte, but you got the build, the size. You may not be the fastest guy feet wise, but you'll be an awesome defensive presence shot blocker. That's what Mark Eaton worked on, and that's what he made an 11-year career out of. Now, he made the All-Star game once, but he was a fan favorite in Utah, like I said, for 11 years. Twice he won the Defensive Player of the Year award, and it was during the 85-86 season that he set the record, the official record now, because I don't believe it's the actual record. I think the actual record is held by Will Chamberlain. Uh, Matter of fact, I think there have been a dozen seasons or more where players have had more blocks than this, or actually more than that. But that's a whole other argument. But the official record is 456 blocks by Mark Eaton, or I think it was 5.6 blocks per game. And that record has not been broken since. And Mark Eaton also holds the record for the highest official career average for blocks per game, which I believe is 3.5 blocks per game for Mark Eaton. Although I think the highest blocks per minute for a career is held by Manute Bol. But after Mark Eaton's career with the Utah Jazz, he became a very prominent member of the Salt Lake community. He had a restaurant, actually had a couple of restaurants, one Tuscany's and Frank's. And I think he was also president of the Retired Players Committee. I think that's the name of it. I might have the name incorrect. And he also became a motivational speaker, and he seemed to be a really nice guy. Um, Another thing about Mark Eaton's career is that it intertwined with the Adrian Dantley era of the Utah Jazz and the Karl Malone and John Stockton eras. And aside from his initial season with Utah when they went 30 and 52, every other year afterward, they were a winning team. And Mark Eaton was part of those late 80s, early 90s Utah Jazz teams that had Mark Eaton at center, Thurl Bailey at power forward, Mark Eaton at center, Karl Malone at power forward. At small forward, they had, what's his name? Later on, Jeff Malone. At shooting guard, Dr. Duncanstein, uh, Daryl Griffith, and at point guard, John Stockton. Coming off the bench, you had Thurl Bailey. Okay, and that was a lineup that they had for several years. Later on, after retirements of Jeff Malone, and actually after the retirement of Daryl Griffith, and then trading away Jeff Malone, and then the retirement of Mark Eaton, that's when you had guys brought in like Hornacek and Austin Carr and Brian Russell and all those other guys. But Mark Eaton, sad, he had over 3,000 career blocks. I think 3,064. Um, Man, this is sad. You know what I'm saying? Uh, 7'4", 275 when he was drafted. He got as high as I think 290. In this picture, right, he's probably about 290. Um, man. It's sad, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh, it's sad to me because it kind of reminds me a little bit of Wilt, although Wilt had been sick for quite some time. Wilt was 63 when he died. And when you think of these big mythical giants, you think they're going to live forever, but they're mortal. They're human. We're all human. So today the NBA community is in mourning. No, I didn't do any videos yesterday. Took a little break from YouTube, but wanted to bring this out there, man. Rest in peace to Mark Eaton. Give me your guys' thoughts.